Hi, my name is Erica Nakemderm O'Carey, and this is my communities analysis project on data analysis, jobs, and the New York housing. And just to give you a little background, since I've moved here to New York, I wanted to see how much the housing really cost in regards to my interest in the data analysis market and if my job could provide enough money to live here. So let's get started. So, guiding question, can a career in data analysis realistically support living in New York? I chose the data analysis jobs because I'm pursuing this career path, and I chose New York housing because, well, I just moved here. Kind of a nice place. This is actually upstate New York, but this particular database is all of New York. So community number one, data analysis job set. As their stakeholders, of course, would be job seekers, employers, educators. The data set has job postings with salary estimates, sectors, industries, company sizes. And the purpose, of course, is to understand the career opportunities and pay variations, because whether people want to admit it or not, pay is important when you start to talk about what you're going to do in life. So I have kind of taken the snippets off as I've gone through here for the different questions. We have this question one. We want to do salary by title and location. So I did have quite a few problems with asking my queries to the different databases because there is a lot of mix of like the varchar and the integers. It was really hard to ask questions, so I definitely had to go and find the top part of all of my queries. You'll see a really long piece here. It was really hard to find this, so this is one of the things that was really difficult, but we needed the salary by title and location. Why does it matter? Location impacts pay and career decisions, obviously. I can't move to places too expensive. I'm not going to go to upper Manhattan or whatever to buy a house. This SQL clean salary ranges grouped by title and location. So we have job title on one side, and then we have locations that you could actually maybe move to. Now, this is interesting because when I did this query, it actually gave me some places that weren't even in New York, which I think is really interesting. So it grabbed some places from maybe other places. And this is because the data analysis jobs, you can do them from anywhere. And I kind of looked through and I thought at first that maybe I had messed up a little bit, but it was because there's a lot of online jobs out there. So there were some that it didn't matter if you had done them in different places. So, but you have these average salaries vary significantly by city and role. But we have like this. This is $63,500, and they kind of keep going all over the place. $77,500. So you'll notice that I did not put these in order of who made the most. Okay, so that wasn't our first question. We didn't put them in order. We weren't trying to make a ton of money. We just wanted to know, like, maybe where you were. I kind of felt bad for this person in American Fork, Utah. They only made $36,500. So, sectors and company sizes, why it matters. Show where most jobs are and typically employer size. So we want to know where the most jobs are. And we want to count jobs per sectors, average company size. So do I need to move somewhere to get a job where I'm interested? And we want to answer certain sectors, dominating list, companies, size vary widely. So a lot of different companies out there. We asked this question. We have here these sectors that could go to education, construction, repair. These things I didn't even think about. Mining and metals, insurance, transportation, logistics. So we actually had quite a few different sectors that you could go into. The highest job count over here, the business services had 521 different jobs in it. And of course, you've got this average company size. was about 1,890. And you wanted to look at company size though, and that was really important because, I mean, mining materials, they only had one, but the average company size is like 3,000. So you're like the one guy working with like a whole bunch of people. So kind of interesting to look at your company size and think, oh, I'm the only guy here who's working in that. So they might really, really need me, but I'm the only person who gets that job. So that's an important thing to look at. How many people are going to work in this? So if there's something you really, really want to work in, make sure that, they might pay you really high, the only person, but who knows. So here's this New York industry salary. So it kind of makes this why it matters. Focus on New York industries and pay levels because we're here and not anywhere else. Filtered for New York, grouped by industry. So answer, average salaries differ by industry. Some pay much higher than others, and this is very true. So here we have this accounting, and we kind of were like, okay, so now we've averaged it, and notice that if I go into accounting, it's kind of a hard job. So this person is getting like 77,100 advertising and marketing. They get this amount, and you've got college and universities pay a certain amount, and they're paying in averages. Now, I did kind of notice something about averages, and maybe this is something that I'm going to do the next time I do a query, is that I should have knocked out the people with the lowest pays and the people with the highest pays. And I didn't think about this at the time because it kind of knocks your averages off, like, because I thought it was kind of funny that some of these averages are a little off. So if somebody made a lot of money, they're kind of knock your average off. So I didn't think about that when I did the query. So maybe next time I will do that. And that was the same with the housing costs, and you'll see that a little bit too. I remember to do that with some of the housing, but not this so much. So jobs versus housing. So we wanted to know about beds and how much they cost. And obviously I would probably need a bigger house because I have a lot more children. It's getting a little crowded, and it's not even the bedrooms I worry so much about, maybe bathrooms, but why it matters. Connecting careers pays to housing affordability. If your career cannot afford you a house, then you're not the only person working in your house. So we joined jobs and housing data sets by localities, and then we found that localities where the analysis salaries could support at least a 3-bedroom home. Kind of nice to have at least 3 bedrooms. I mean, you could squeeze into something smaller if you had to, but maybe you don't want to, okay? So here we are. We have these addresses down the sides, and I mean, this bedroom on top is a 7-bedroom house, and not maybe something that I don't need a 7-bedroom house, but job titles. We've got different types of job titles, and notice a lot of these job titles were like the same type of job titles, and the salary midpoint was 104,500. So they could support that house, those types of job titles, and we had kind of the top ones were supporting those places. And one of the things that I noticed that I had maybe done that I didn't like on this particular query was I put the address, but notice it's not telling me where this address is. I don't know where Park Place is. I'm assuming that's in New York City because I played Monopoly, but I don't know where that is. So I probably need to clean this query up a little bit and say, where are some of these places? I could type them into Google, like Hollywood Ave and Simon Court and those kind of places. I know they're in New York, but I'm not sure where in New York they are. Okay, so community number 2. We're now on to New York housing data set. So stakeholders, renters, buyers, brokers, policymakers. We have the data set housing listings with price, bedrooms, localities, broker info. This is the purpose to explore the affordability and housing distributions. So this is nice because now we have their neighborhoods with a higher average of bedrooms. Because we were looking for a place to be where we could fit. Remember, I take bigger families, so I need a bigger place to stay. So it matters because we identify areas for larger homes compared to sub-locality averages or citywide averages. Some neighborhoods exceed the city bedroom average. That's a big deal here. Can't find bigger houses. Unfortunately, this was nowhere near where I was at. So the average bedrooms that had 4 or 5 4-bedrooms were all the Bronx, New York County, Queens County, and Kings County. Now this is interesting. when I did this, I tried to do this query several times. I had to change it a few times to get it to work because it was a very hard one to get to work. And you'll see this in a few minutes, but it was very hard to find houses with average bedroom sizes. So salary versus housing prices. So this one, you're like, well, I found the house. Can I pay for it? So why does it matter? Compare job pay to housing prices. So we joined them. And some localities show alignment better reveal affordable housing gaps. So maybe I found my little house over here. So here it is. And this was when I finally figured out that you have to exclude a house, because here was the problem. When I queried, the numbers were so huge that I came back with nothing. Or it would give me these things where it said your number is so big you can't query anymore. And it was because New York has billion-dollar houses, like multi-billion-dollar houses. So you'll look over here, and in my little thing it says exclude houses above $10 million, which seems ludicrous. I would never buy a house at 10 million. I probably wouldn't buy one at 1 million. I probably should have excluded those too. And you'll notice that there's these Brooklyn, New York, Queens, and their average prices are, and these, there's a decimal here, so they're not, it's 65615, and then there's a point, whatever. Because what happens is that's the average salary, right? And then the average price, which is so hard to read because see, there's a decimal in here. This is such a small number. The average housing price is actually a lot higher because we should have excluded houses that were a lot more. You're never going to buy a $10 million house. At least I hope you don't. So there are some expensive houses knocking off your average. So that is something in the future that I will keep track of, because unless you have a $1 billion house will knock off, or something that's so huge in your data, you need to knock out the outliers. And I should have thought of that earlier. So borough salary versus housing price. So why it matters, compare borough level affordability grouped by borough average salaries and housing prices. So we're going to get this clear difference between boroughs, some more affordable than others. And once again, we're back to Brooklyn because they're trying to say they're more affordable, and that's why I should have knocked out the outliers. So I had thought about it, but we're back to Brooklyn, New York, and Queens, and they keep coming back to these boroughs. That which one was more? Here's your average and your average salaries, and if you want to know more, you need to knock out those outliers. So, okay, so brokers in highest price areas. So who is making the most money in these areas? And this would be why it matters, because this shows who dominates maybe luxury housing markets. And maybe you could filter out some of those higher things. And certain brokers hold the most high price listings. So maybe there's a broker, maybe they're ripping you off. I don't know. This would be a good thing to know. So this is interesting. So whoever brokered by Compass, they had 249 listings that were really, really high. So I don't know if you want to trust these guys. And I think this is a really good question to ask a broker. Or, maybe you want to work for them. I don't know. So they had some people like Douglas Eilman had 75 listings. Now, some of these people had, like Remax had 28 listings. So either you're really, really selling a lot of houses, or you're not doing so well. You might want to have to look into that a little more, but it's good to know who's selling all the houses, or maybe who's selling all the high houses or whatever. But you can see who has the most listings. So the takeaway from this, so we have kind of our challenges. Like I said, simple averages and counts. There's a lot of messy salary ranges in revising questions. A really hard time with the data set, trying to get them cleaned up enough to ask the questions I wanted. Surprising the salary variations by industry, and there were a lot of affordability gaps across boroughs. So wherever you wanted to live. I mean, I kind of knew that already, but New York's is huge, so that was kind of a surprise. My conclusion, I guess, guiding questions, kind of revisiting the data. There's things that I would ask a little more clearly. I get rid of the outliers. Salaries vary. Costing houses, high alignments exist. Some localities, there's a lot of problems we're solving with the keys. And a lot of interest, like maybe data analysis where it could be used in the future, IT administration, urban community planning, I thought would be interesting. So a lot of really interesting things that I kind of figured out as I went along doing on this. So that's kind of cool. And that's the end of my presentation. So hopefully you understood that and there were some things that you thought were interesting. And thanks for listening.